right, here we are. We're at the Lowrance booth here at the 2014 ICAST show in Orlando, Florida. We got Chris Meyer here from the Lowrance company. And Chris, you guys have some exciting new products here that you're going to introduce the folks to. Tell us a little bit about it.
So we have our XI5 connection with the motor guide, and we also have a new Lowrance outboard pilot that is coming out, and the interface between them is Smart Steer. So Smart Steer will let you control either the trolling motor or the outboard motor all from our display.
So is this something that are we going to put some waypoints in, and then your equipment is smart enough to follow those waypoints, or how are we going to go about doing this?
We can, with the trolling motor, we can anchor, we can do heading locks, we can do route control that we took from our Simrad line. So if you want to zigzag, do patterns, we can do all of that. With the outboard, we can also take and control left, right, do the heading lock, do routes, zigzag, lazy SS, square, circles, whatever you want. We can run and control all from our MFD.
I know that there's been equipment out there that would allow you and your trolling motor to follow certain contours in the lake or waypoints, but now you're saying the outboard will do the same thing?
Yep, we can do the same thing with outboard as we can with the electric steer XI5 that motor guide has.
That's amazing. Show me a little bit of this.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's very simple. It's very intuitive. There's a couple different ways you can access the interface. So if I press the power button, you can see I have a standby and an autopilot. If I select autopilot, it brings up this controller. So when this controller is up, I don't have any control of the screen. So the other way I have is I can actually create custom pages where I have sonar, GPS, and I have my controller. So now I can still see my controller without having to go into the power, and I still have my mapping capabilities. So I'm going to show it on the power key. So if you have both the outboard pilot and the trolling motor pilot, I can go into switch pilot. So I can choose whether I want the trolling motor or whether I want the outboard control. If I select the trolling motor control, you notice I have my anchor, heading lock, turns, record trails, the same thing that you can do on the XI5 remote. So if I want to anchor, I can select anchor. I can either do it from here, I can do it from a waypoint, or if I have my sonar page up, and I'll show you that feature, which is my favorite for fishing, is using the cursor function. But if I have a waypoint that's close, I can select a waypoint and it'll show me my waypoints. I select one, it's going to go over, my motor just turned to go over and anchor up on that waypoint. And now I can do the jog features, just like they can on your XI5 key fob. So if I want to jog left.
Let me interrupt you for a second. You say that there's an anchor feature on this.
Yep.
Explain to the people what that means. You just told me that there's an anchor feature, but we're not going to drop a rope and an anchor overboard.
Nope, we're going to do it the lazy man's way. We're going to put the trolling motor down and let it take care of it. So you don't have to throw out an anchor and scare the fish away, because you and I know that everyone throws an anchor out, just lets it fall on the bottom instead of gently laying it down and, easing into a spot. They're like, oh, this is where we want to anchor, and drop it right on top of their fish instead of going up 100 feet, letting out some rope and anchoring up. So this allows us to anchor up. So say I'm on my brush pile, my waypoint's on my brush pile. Well, I don't want to be right on top of it, I want to be the edge of it. So if I want to jog to the left, every time I push this, it's 5 feet to the left that the motor will take, turn over, go over to the left, anchor up. So now I can pitch jigs, cast cranks, whatever I want at that brush pile. Bobber fishermen, where I'm from, Minnesota, we can go anchor up on the front side of a rock pile, let the wind come at our backs, and we can fish out the back of the boat. Say you want to slide down that rock pile, I want to go right, it'll move me over, and I can keep fishing that rock pile or weed edge, whatever you want to fish.
That is amazing technology. Now let me ask you a question. I just got done fishing a lake that you and I both like, and we're in upper Minnesota. I have some waypoints that I figured out last week where I caught some really nice fish, some great walleye, a couple of cool smallmouth. I want you and your family to go have a good time too. Can I share that information with you without going and getting in the boat with you? Is there a way that I can put you on those same spots that I fished last week with all that success?
Sure, you can save your waypoints onto a card, email that file over to me, and I can take and load them into my deal. I have buddies that come up all the time. I take and load my waypoints that I want them to have, and not all of them, but I'm not that nice of a guy.
That's amazing. Technology has changed, folks, when it comes to the fishing game. This is incredible. I was not aware that this was out there.
It's going to be available this fall. There will be a module that'll hook into the motor. It'll hook into NEMA 2000 backbone, and then you'll be off and running. Some of the other features are the heading lock features. So the guys that striper fish, walleye fish, that might be trollers, I can go in here, I can steer left, steer right with the motor. I can speed up. So if I want to show it in miles per hour, or if I want to show it in a prop percentage, I'm a miles per hour kind of guy. So I want to set my speed, say I want to pull spinners at 1.4 miles an hour. Okay, now this motor will maintain at 1.4 miles an hour. So if you get wind that's blowing against you a little bit, the motor will ramp up and maintain that same speed. Like I said, you can steer left, steer right. A lot of different controls and functionality that the end user can put in.
This is awesome. So I found that the fish are in 15 to 21 feet of water.
Yep.
That's where I'm having most of my success, whether I'm dragging my little Lindy rig or whatever it may be, I'm fishing for walleye. With this technology right here, it takes all the guesswork out of it. I just plot my course, I stay in that zone, and I keep my bait in the zone where the fish are.
Yep. So you're not limited to map cards to have to stay on a particular line. You can go and create your routes however you want to. So if I have a Navionics map or a C-Maps type map or any of that, I can go into here if I wanted to stay on any kind of detail. Say I want to follow this around. To create a route is very simple. All I do is move my cursor over, I hit new route, and then all I do is touch a screen, and I can create a route wherever I want, off of any map I want. Save that data, enter it. Now that data is always there. I can come over and select this. I can navigate either from that point forward or back, or I can navigate the entire route from forward to back. So if I go from point and hit reverse, it's going to go from here all the way backwards and navigate that. The really cool feature that we have with HDS is the ability to overlay our left-right imaging on top of our map page. So I'm going along here and I can see this transition. Okay, I put my finger over there, I go through, touch the dots, create my route along that transition. Now I can fish that transition, which is actual data, weed lines, rock edges, ledges. So the bass guys that are cable steer guys, you might see some of those ledge fishermen that always ledge fish switch to an electric steer, because now I can mark that ledge and I can work up and down that ledge without having to do any kind of foot control. All I gotta do is fish. The motor will take care of the rest.
So what you're saying is, before you go fishing next week, you're going to spend a little bit of time on the computer doing some homework. Sure. And you're going to look at your lake. You're going to chart this thing out. It's the fall. The fish are on a deep crankbait bite. I'm at Clear Lake, California. Most of the crankbait fish that I'm going to be targeting are 25 to 29 feet deep. So I'm going to chart those routes out on my computer, put that data into my unit, and then when I get to the lake, my thinking is pretty much over. I just follow the contour lines.
Yep, pretty much. Just turn it on, let it go. So with our Insight Planner program, we can go through and you can create routes off of any mapping that is in existence, whether it's our Lake Insight, our Insight Genesis, Navionics, or the Jeppesen C-Map cards. You can go and pre-program all your routes or areas that you currently like to fish without any issues.
All right, Chris. I've heard a little bit about this outboard motor pilot that you have here at Lowrance. Yep. Is that correct?
Yep. So it interfaces with the same smart steer interface that we do the trolling motor with. So when I'm in my autopilot mode, it gives me the ability to switch between trolling motors and outboards. So if I select the outboard, the user interface when I go into auto is a little different. It's more like our Simrad autopilot. But I can go into the turns. I can do zigzags, U-turns, C-turns, squares, spirals, and the like. I can veer my heading 1 degree, or I can do it 10 degrees at a time. If I put it into standby, I can go into my power steer and actually steer the motor. You can see the motor behind me turning. So for the salmon fishermen, the walleye guys, the guys that want to go out and do some trolling, for $9.99, pump, hoses, fittings, computer, NEMA 2000 connection, and now I can run and control the autopilot right from our screen. So I can do the same thing. I can go program routes. I can program it to follow transitions. I can do, my zigzag portion of it, all right from my screen without having to have a separate controller, saving costs. Like I said, retail of $1,000 is pretty cheap. Works great at slow speeds.
So this technology that Lowrance has got, is it just for the HDS9, or are there other units that this is compatible with?
Nope. All of our HDS Gen 2, so the 5, the 7, the 8, and the 10, and the HDS Gen 2 Touch, the 7, 9, and 12, all will have this same interface on when the software is released this fall.
All right, folks, that was awesome. We got to bring you up to speed on some of the latest and greatest navigational tools that you can use on your favorite body of water. Chris Myers from Lowrance Electronics, we appreciate your time so much here at the 2014 Orlando ICAST show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.